A single lie whispered in the right ear can be more powerful than an army. But can a lie topple an entire kingdom? This is the story of a very specific lie. It was about a diamond necklace so grand, so impossibly expensive, that just wanting it was a scandal. The lie began in the bustling streets of Paris, a city of secrets and ambition. It was a simple story, really, a story of a queen who secretly wanted something she couldn't have. And it was a story that would end up changing the course of history, all because one person saw a chance to pull off the perfect trick. The master of this trick was a woman named Jeanne de la Motte. She was not a queen. She was not rich. She came from a very old family with a royal name, but she had no money to go with it. Her real power was not in her name, but in her eyes. Jeanne could look at the most powerful people in the world and see the one thing they wanted most. She understood their secret hopes and their deepest fears. She knew that people would believe almost any lie, as long as it was the lie they wanted to hear. Her perfect target was a man named Cardinal de Rohan. He was one of the most powerful and wealthy men in all of France, but he had a huge problem. The Queen, Marie Antoinette, could not stand him. Years before, he had insulted her mother, and the Queen never forgot. For a man like Rohan, who wanted to be at the very center of power, the Queen's cold shoulder was a constant pain. He was desperate to get back in her good graces. He would do anything, believe anything, to earn her favor. And Jeanne knew this. Now, for the bait. This was not just any piece of jewelry. It was a legend known as the Affair of the Diamond Necklace. It was made of 647 perfect diamonds, adding up to an incredible 2,800 carats. It was a river of light, a masterpiece of incredible value. The necklace was worth 1.6 million livres. That was more money than a giant warship. It was a price so high that even the king had refused to buy it for the queen. The necklace sat with its makers, the jewelers, waiting for a buyer rich enough and bold enough to claim it. This is where Jeanne de la Motte made her first move. She went to the desperate Cardinal and told him a secret. She claimed she was a close friend of the Queen, one of her most trusted confidants. She told him that she could fix his problem. Then, the true trick began. Jeanne started a fake letter exchange between the Cardinal and the Queen. She hired a man who was an expert at copying handwriting. He wrote beautiful letters, supposedly from Marie Antoinette, filled with warm and friendly words for the Cardinal. The trap was being set, but the letters were not enough. The Cardinal, full of hope, wanted more proof. He wanted to meet the Queen in person, to finally seal their new, secret friendship. This was an impossible request. A con artist can't just produce a real queen. For Jeanne, though, this wasn't a problem. It was just the next, most daring step in her plan. If she couldn't bring the real queen to the Cardinal, she would simply create one. Jeanne found a woman in Paris who looked a little like Marie Antoinette. Her name was Nicole Leguay. Jeanne dressed her in a beautiful white gown, just like one the Queen might wear. She planned a secret meeting late at night in a dark part of the gardens of Versailles. In the shadows of the royal garden, the Cardinal finally met his queen. For just a few moments, the woman whispered a few words of friendship and handed him a single rose. That was all it took. The Cardinal was completely fooled. He now believed he was the Queen's secret friend. With the Cardinal now totally under her spell, Jeanne played her final card. A new letter arrived, supposedly from the Queen. It said she desperately wanted the amazing diamond necklace, but she couldn't ask the king for it. Not after she had already said no. The letter asked for a huge favor. The Queen needed someone to buy the necklace for her in secret. She promised to pay them back in small payments. She needed a true, loyal friend to help her. The trap was set. The Cardinal did not even think twice. He saw this as his big moment. This was his chance to win the Queen's favor forever. He marched straight to the jewelers, feeling very important. He showed them the forged letters, which seemed to give him the Queen's permission. He signed the contract, promising to pay the 1.6 million livres. The jewelers were so happy. They finally sold the necklace and handed the heavy box over to the Cardinal. But the necklace never went to the Queen. Of course not. The Cardinal proudly gave the box to one of Jeanne's helpers, thinking it was going to the palace. Instead, it went straight to Jeanne and her husband. In a small, dark room, they opened the box. They didn't look at its beauty. They saw only money. With cold, hard tools, they began to break the masterpiece apart. They pried out every one of the 647 diamonds and began selling them, one by one, on the black markets of Paris and London. The whole incredible scheme came crashing down when the first payment was due. The jewelers grew nervous. They had not heard from the Cardinal, so they sent a note directly to Queen Marie Antoinette, politely asking for their money. Imagine her confusion. A necklace? She hadn't bought any necklace. In fact, she had refused it long ago. She summoned the jewelers to the palace. They arrived, bowed, and presented her with the contract, the one signed with her name. The Queen looked at the forged signature and knew, in that moment, that something was terribly wrong. The king was furious. On August 15th, 1785, the entire royal court was gathered at the Palace of Versailles. In the famous glittering Hall of Mirrors, the king had Cardinal de Rohan arrested in front of everyone. It was a shocking public humiliation for one of the most powerful men in France. The scandal exploded across Paris. The story was on everyone's lips. Soon after the Cardinal was taken away, the police found and arrested Jeanne de la Motte. Her grand life, built on a mountain of lies, was over. The game was up, or so it seemed. At her trial, Jeanne performed her final and perhaps greatest manipulation. Standing before the judges and the public, she spun a whole new story. She was not a thief, she claimed. She was just a simple woman, an innocent pawn caught between a corrupt cardinal and a greedy, manipulative queen. She knew exactly what she was doing. She played on the public's growing hatred for the monarchy. Every lie she told was crafted to make Marie Antoinette look like the true villain. And the people, already angry about their hard lives, were ready to believe the worst. The court's final decision was a complete disaster for the king and queen. The cardinal was found not guilty. The court decided he was a gullible fool, but not a criminal. He had been tricked, just like everyone else. Jeanne, the mastermind, was found guilty and sent to prison. But in the court of public opinion, the verdict was clear. They didn't blame the con artist, they blamed the queen. Marie Antoinette became the real victim of the affair, her reputation ruined forever. So, can a con artist's lie really topple a monarchy? Not by itself. But the affair of the diamond necklace became a powerful symbol. It gave the French people a perfect, concrete story that confirmed all their worst fears about their queen, that she was wasteful, dishonest, and out of touch. The lie was the spark that helped light a revolutionary fire. The story of the diamond necklace affair didn't end with the trial. Jeanne de la Motte, the clever trickster, was found guilty. She was punished in a very public way, meant to be a show of justice. But even from her prison cell, her influence lingered. She later escaped and continued to spread lies about the queen, writing books that fueled even more public anger. The scandal had taken on a life of its own. The people of France were ready to believe the worst about Marie Antoinette. They already saw her as a foreigner who spent too much money while they starved. The story of the necklace fit perfectly with what they already thought. It was a simple, powerful tale of royal greed. The truth was far more complex, but the lie was easier to understand and easier to hate. So the diamond necklace became more than just a piece of jewelry. It was a symbol. In its glittering facets, people saw everything they believed was wrong with their country. They saw a queen who cared only for luxury. They saw a court full of secrets and waste. The necklace wasn't just made of diamonds, it was made of public anger. And what of the Cardinal de Rohan, the man so easily fooled? The court found him innocent of any crime. He was a victim, they decided, not a thief. But while he was cleared of wrongdoing, he was still sent away from the royal court. His reputation was ruined. He had been played for a fool in front of the entire world, all because he wanted to be closer to the queen. This verdict, which was meant to clear things up, only made the situation worse for Marie Antoinette. If the cardinal was innocent, the public asked, then who was truly to blame? Their anger turned even more fiercely toward the queen. They believed she must have been part of the trick, somehow pulling the strings from behind the scenes. Every attempt to fix her reputation only seemed to dig a deeper hole. This growing anger was the sound of a revolution drawing near. The affair of the diamond necklace was not the single cause, of course. People were hungry, they were poor, and they wanted change. But the scandal was like a match thrown on dry wood. It gave people a face to blame. It turned their general unhappiness into focused rage against one person, the queen. It's a powerful lesson in how stories can shape history. The true, complicated facts of the con were pushed aside. A simpler, more exciting story took their place. A story of a wicked queen and a stolen treasure. This narrative was so strong that it helped convince a nation that its monarchy was corrupt beyond repair. The lie became more real than the truth. Think about it. A single person, Jeanne de la Motte, built a lie out of forged letters and whispers in dark gardens. She was not a general or a politician. She was just a very clever, very determined con artist. But her personal quest for wealth and status ended up shaking the foundations of one of the most powerful kingdoms in the world. Her deception created a crack in the public's trust, and through that crack, the anger of a nation poured through. The lie didn't just topple a person, it helped topple an entire system. It shows that sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't a sword or a cannon. It's a well-told lie. In the end, the affair was a perfect storm of greed, ambition, and public fury. A con artist saw a chance and took it. A cardinal was blinded by his own desires, and a queen, already disliked by many, became the perfect target for a story that would help set her kingdom on a path to destruction.